Hare Krishna, welcome everybody. So this is Krishna Dasa. Today we are going to conclude chapter 10 with verses 10.34 to 10.42. And before we begin, I'll say the prayers to Guru and God. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalake Chakshurum Militamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Okay, so I'll play the slokas, or I think I'll play the Guru Mantra first.
Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha.
Hare Krishna. So I'll play the slokas.
मृत्युः सर्वहरश्चाहमुद्भवश्च भविष्यताम् कीर्तिः श्रीवाक्च नारीणां स्मृतिर्मेधा धृतिः क्षमा बृहत्साम तथा साम्नां गायत्री छन्दसामहम् मासानां मार्गशीर्षोऽहं ऋतूनां कुसुमाकरः द्यूतं झलयतामस्मि तेजस्तेजस्विनामहम् जयोऽस्मि व्यवसायोऽस्मि सत्त्वं सत्त्ववतामहम् वृष्णीनां वासुदेवोऽस्मि पाण्डवानां धनञ्जयः मुनीनामप्यहं व्यासः कवीनामुशना कविः दण्डो दमयतामस्मि नीतिरस्मि जिगीषताम् मौनं चैवास्मि गुह्यानां ज्ञानं ज्ञानवतामहम् यच्चापि सर्वभूतानां बीजं तदहमर्जुन न तदस्ति विना यत्स्यान्मया भूतं चराचरम् नान्तोऽस्ति मम दिव्यानां विभूतीनां परन्तप एष तूद्देशतः प्रोक्तो विभूतेर्विस्तरो मया यद्यद्विभूतिमत्सत्त्वं श्रीमदूर्जितमेव वा तत्तदेवावगच्छत्वं मम तेजोंशसम्भवम् अथवा बहुनैतेन किं ज्ञातेन तवार्जुन विष्टभ्याहमिदं कृत्स्नम् एकांशेन स्थितो जगत् ॐ तत्सदिति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे विभूतियोगो नाम दशमोऽध्यायः.
Hare Krishna. So who is reading today?
It's Poonam Aunty, Guruji.
Okay, go ahead, Punamji.
Hare Krishna to all. 10.34 I am all devouring death. I am the source of manifestation for all that will come into being. Amongst feminine qualities, I am fame, prosperity, fine speech, memory, intelligence, courage, and forgiveness. 10.35 Amongst the hymns in the Samaveda, know to me to be the Brihasama of poetic meters. I am the Gayatri. Among the months, I am Margashirsha, November to December. And of the seasons, I am the spring, which is the season of flowers. 10.36 I am the gambling of the deceitful and the splendor of the splendid. I am victory I am enterprise. I am the strength of the strong. 10.37 Of the Vrishnis, I am Vasudeva, Krishna. Of the Pandavas, I am Dhananjay, Arjuna. Of the sages, I am Vyasa of poets. I am Ushana, Shukracharya. 10.38 Among the punishers, I am the spectre, the rod of chastisement, and I am morality for those who seek victory. Among secrets, I am silence, and in the wise, I am the wisdom. 10.39 Furthermore, O Arjuna, I am the seat of all living beings. There is no being moving of non-moving that can exist without me. 10.40 O conqueror of enemies, Arjuna, there is no end to my divine manifestations. What I have spoken here is but a mere indication of the expanse of my infinite opulence. 10.41 Whatever you see as beautiful, glorious, or powerful, know that it has sprung from but a spark of my splendor. 10.42 But what need is there, Arjuna, for such detailed knowledge? Simply know that I support this entire universe with a single fragment of myself. Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you, Poonamji. It was very well read. Really appreciate that. So, this comes to the final set of slokas of 10th chapter. As you know, this is very important because when we started 10th chapter, I was explaining to you how Krishna is going ahead with his wisdom and knowledge, how he is spreading it. So, and we also said that the middle of Bhagavad Gita was bhakti, correct? And among that, the 9th chapter was the most profound because in the 9th chapter, Krishna gave us the key mantra. What was the key mantra? In the 9th chapter, what was the key message? Krishna gave us, there can be multiple answers, but do you think something was very key?
Ananya Chintan?
Kevala Bhakti, and we can attain it through Ananya Chintan.
Exactly. So, Ananya Chintayanto Mam is one famous thing, and then Manmana Mad Bhakta, that was another thing. So, through all these slokas, Sri Krishna made it sure that we all internalize this whole aspect of the need for Ananya Chintan. Now, then in the 10th chapter, Krishna is saying, I will make it easy for you. When can you always think of someone? When you think that person is great or when you think that person is awesome, right? Then it becomes easy for you to always think about that person. If you don't know much about a person, it is very hard. It is very hard to keep them in your heart and mind all the time. So Krishna is first telling us that the key is to Ananya Chintan, key is to always keep me in your heart, keep me in your mind. And in the 10th chapter, he's appealing to the intellectuals, For the Bhakti Yogis, the 9th chapter is enough. When Krishna says that you should always think about me, for the Bhakti Yogis, that much is enough. They are going to just always think of him. But the intellectuals, they need more. They need to understand why. They need more reasons. So Krishna says, in the 10th chapter, he says, I will give you a glimpse. I will give you some reasons. I'll give you some key attributes of me. Once you understand that, it will be easier for you to focus on me all the time. See how the flow was. That is how the flow of the Bhagavad Gita has been so far. And in this final set of slokas, Krishna is going to continue. He's going to talk about more deeper insights into the nature of the Supreme Being, his relationship with the universe, and so on and so forth. So what is starting? So in 34th sloka, Krishna says, Mrityuhu sarva haracha aham. Very, very powerful. He says, I am the all-consuming death. Now see, what does that mean? It is basically emphasizing his role as the ultimate force that's going to end all life. So he's already said he's the beginning, middle, and end. Now he's giving multiple perspectives. Now he's saying, I am that force that ends all life. See, death is inevitable, whether we like it or not. There is no such thing as I don't believe in death, because, you remember in the previous, a few chapters ago, we saw the story of how that Yaksha was asking Yudhishthira, Kim Asharyam, like what is it that you find most surprising about humanity? And Yudhishthira says, the most surprising is death is certain. I see death happens, but people always think it happens to someone else. No? So it is certain. Okay, but we also have to look at death as something that symbolizes the end of something material and the start of something spiritual. See, that is another way to look at death. Because death is a very material concept. Death doesn't exist in the spiritual realm, right? It is when you say death, we are talking about something material that is coming to an end. So by identifying himself with death, he is emphasizing the impermanence, the temporary nature of everything in the material world. And so he's saying that everything in the world is going to decay, everything in the world is going to die, come to an end at one point in time. So if some of you are in the technical field, you know that even in, especially in the software domain, there is this concept called as entropy. You can search for that word. So basically, when you say entropy, what it means is, doesn't matter how perfectly you design a system, eventually it will go into a state of decay. Eventually it will start malfunctioning, because there are so many factors, there are so many parameters. Like, sometimes the storage gets full, sometimes, the network, something happens, sometimes the power cables become old, sometimes million things can happen which is out of your control. So that is the concept of entropy, is no matter how perfectly designed you think something is, eventually it will all get into a state of decay. And that is what Krishna is saying in a more philosophical, spiritual sense. Is saying everything in the material world is temporary, everything is going to end, and I am that force that's going to end all of it. So we have to take this as a message and use it to help us stay humble. The humility, be humble and be grounded. This is one more thing that will help us get rid of that pride, because both sare Maharati aaye aur gaye. Like, starting from Ravan to, modern days, talk about Alexander the Great and then Genghis Khan, and where are they? They're all now topsoil, right? So the same is true for us. So it doesn't matter how great we think we are temporary. Whatever we are is going to end. Correct? And we have to use that knowledge to stay humble. That's the whole purpose of understanding this. And then he's also saying that he's also the generating principle of all that is yet to be. Very beautiful. So first he says, I am death, and then what after death? So he's saying, I am also that same generative principle that is responsible for all that is yet to be. So, in other words, he's saying, I am pretty much the creator, I am the source of everything, I maintain everything, and I'm also responsible for the destruction of everything. So pretty much he's covering the entire life cycle. And another beautiful thing is, we should now try to understand the relationship between time and death. Because previously Krishna had said that I'm Yama, god of death. And he also said, I'm Kala, I'm time. So time is that relentless, unstoppable force that is propelling us towards the inevitable end. So that is why you have to really, really understand, and this realization is very crucial for our spiritual growth. Very important. Because it is encouraging us, it is prodding us to confront our own mortality, to come to terms with it. We are not immortal. Anytime we say that, I will do something tomorrow, ask yourself, is tomorrow in your pocket? Very important. Tomorrow to nothing. There are some people who, even today when I talk to them, they will tell me like, Guruji, I think after 60 I will do spirituality. And I'm like, wow, you are like, you have to be a great Mahatma, like, because you are so confident that you're going to live to be 60. I mean, But the message Krishna is giving about time and God of death and he being death and all of that, and also he spoke so much about Antakale and how we have to prepare for that. It's all a message that we need to be aware of our own mortality and we need to recognize the urgency. There is this urgency that we have to really, really realize. Urgency to live a meaningful and purposeful life. Urgency to understand what is really important. What is the most important things for me in my life that I need to focus on? And once I understand that, I need to focus on it now, not tomorrow, not next year, not in New Year, not in Christmas, now. And that is what Krishna is trying to explain in so many different ways. So, what is the most fulfilling path? So, if I say that, what is most important, I've asked. So, if I have to say, one of the ways of saying what is most important is a life dedicated to self-realization and service to God. That would be the most fulfilling path. So, service to God, if you understand, that covers all of bhakti yoga. Self-realization, if you understand, that covers all other yoga. So, basically, yoga, if you want to understand, you can just say your goal has to be self-realization and service to God. Correct? It encompasses everything. See, this whole thing of death and impermanence is not like just Krishna is the only guy who is threatening us or he is talking in this language. This has been a subject matter of lot of philosophers and lot of thinkers throughout time. So I've taken some examples, and it is available, or it is common in other scriptures also. So I've taken some examples just for giving you a perspective. So the first example is from the Bible. It is from a section called the Psalms. Whoever knows the Bible knows that Psalms is a poetical aspect of the poetical part of it. So there it says, "As for man, his days are like grass. He flourishes like a flower on the field. For the wind passes over it and it is gone, and its place knows it no more." So beautiful, correct? So there they're talking about the same nature, the impermanent, temporary nature of life. They're comparing it to a flower. Like that flower can feel very proud that I'm so beautiful, I smell so good, but how long does a flower last? One wind and it's gone. And nobody will even remember where it was, right? So very humbling. Similarly, there are many other philosophers who have also spoken about this. So there is also I won't say religion, there is also a way of life. It's called Stoicism. So in this Stoicism also, this is a very key concept, that a very beautiful statement made by one of the Stoicists. His name is Marcus Aurelius. He says, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." So beautiful, right? And just for your information, even in modern days, one of the best speeches that you will see on this topic is by Steve Jobs. You know who Steve Jobs is. Anybody who has iPhone knows. He is a founder of Apple. And he very beautifully said, he had during his last days, he said, that remembering that I'll be dead soon, he said, that is the most important tool I have ever encountered to help me make big choices in life. So this is Steve Jobs talking, a very modern day, successful person. He says almost everything, all external expectations, all pride, all fear of embarrassment, of failure, he says these things just fade away in the face of death. These things don't matter. Living only what is truly important. See, it's so profound. What he's saying is so profound. He's saying, like, if you realize that death is imminent, if you realize that death is going to happen to you, then all of these things, they lose their importance. Right? Like fear of failure. How does it matter? You are afraid of failure. Why? Because of what somebody says, but you are also going to die, that somebody is also going to die. So like that, Steve Jobs also talks about how the realization of our own mortality became a very powerful tool for him to focus on what is most important in life and what kind of choices he needs to make in life. And that is the same thing Krishna has said many thousand years ago. And that is the message that I'm trying to convey to you. Is let us all get to terms with our mortality and use that to create that sense of rightful urgency, and also help us prioritize, or help us come up with the right prioritization in our life, like what really is important. And then comes another very important and profound declaration where Krishna is calling out 7 feminine qualities. What are those feminine qualities? He's talking about fame, prosperity, fine speech, memory, intelligence, courage, forgiveness. I just wanted to take some time to explain this. So when Krishna is referring to them as feminine qualities, it doesn't mean that these qualities exist only in females. That is not what is the meaning. When Krishna says, or when Krishna refers to feminine qualities, he's referring to the aspect of Shakti. So in the universe, there is a masculine energy as well as a feminine energy. So the masculine energy is termed as Shiva, and the feminine energy is termed as Shakti. Like in other cultures, this is also known as yin yang, and there are many different ways of referring to it. But this is the fundamental realization everybody has had, that these are the 2 types of energies in the universe, masculine and feminine. So Shakti, and it is slightly, you may find it slightly contradictory, because usually when we say masculine, then we think that means very active, something doing and all of that. And when we say feminine, then we assume that it has to be something calm and quiet and all of that. But contrary to that, when we say Shakti, Shakti is actually the creative force. The creative, nurturing, transformative power of the divine. That is Shakti. That is the energy. The active energy is Shakti, and that balances the masculine principle, which is Shiva. And actually, Shiva represents consciousness and stillness. Shiva is actually representing stillness, contrary to what we see in movies or everything, So, this is kind of the interplay of Shiva and Shakti is what is the entire science of yoga. So, when we say yoga is all about understanding this interplay of Shiva and Shakti and how to bring balance between them. Very, very important, because, and when we say union, that is a union of your own individual Shakti with consciousness, which is Shiva. So that union is what is the goal of yoga, because that gives balance, harmony, and liberation. So I will also touch upon some masculine qualities, because Krishna already spoke about the 7 feminine qualities. So I'm just bringing out some of the masculine qualities to give you an idea of what this Shiva is all about. So consciousness and awareness is one. Stillness and potential. Potential is the keyword. So Shiva is associated with stillness, silence, and the unmanifested potential. So that potential is the breeding ground for anything that manifests. So that is the masculine energy. And the other one, very important, Vairagya. We spoke about that earlier. Vairagya is detachment. That is also a masculine energy of Shiva. And of course, destruction and dissolution is one active aspect of it, and self-realization. So self-realization is also considered a masculine energy. And here, Krishna is representing the qualities of both Shiva and Shakti, because he is also the divine consciousness and he's also the creative force, which he himself just explained. All the 7 qualities of Shakti. So, Krishna is advising Arjuna that by embracing and balancing these energies of Shiva and Shakti, you can reach your full potential, you can go towards self-realization, and you will be able to effectively fulfill your duties. So that message is for Arjuna, that message is for all of us also. So, we also can do that. We can also, it's not we can, we should. Our goal should also be to understand these aspects of energy within us, the Shiva and Shakti aspects, and how to balance, because I may sound like I'm oversimplifying, and I am oversimplifying, because this is a very complex, complicated topic as such, and great saints like Patanjali and all have gone into great depths. So I'm giving you a glimpse of it. So basically, what do you mean by, how do you succeed internally. How do you really succeed in your spiritual endeavors or even material endeavors for that matter? The key for that is managing your energy. If you can manage your energy the right way, then that will propel you towards success. If you don't manage it well, then you go the wrong direction. So what does it mean? Like, is it an abstract concept that says, oh, you have to balance Shiva and Shakti? Or is it something practical that we can practice? So I don't have a manual with me, but I'm trying to now give you some 2 or 3 pointers that will help you understand this concept of Shiva Shakti and how to put it to use in your day-to-day lives. For example, when you ask this question, how can I be more present today? Like everybody says, live in the moment. Even Krishna said earlier, mindfulness, correct? So how do I practice mindfulness? That mindfulness is an aspect of Shiva. That mindfulness is a masculine energy that you need to be aware of and practice. But you still have to take action, inspired action towards your goals. That is Shakti. So how do you balance this? How do you stay peaceful in the moment and at the same time do rightful action? Both are important. Imagine that you are all the time worried about what's going to happen 5 years from now, what's going to happen when I become old, what's going to happen when I'm sick. You will be full of anxiety. You will become incapable of doing anything. Correct? So what you really need to calm down, and you have to say, let me live in the moment and let me take care of today first. Beautiful thing, correct? That is mindfulness. That is understanding and utilizing the Shiva aspect. But can you always be just that? Oh, I'll just think about today. There is food in the fridge for today, that's enough. But then that's going to set you up for failure, right? So you also have to know what is the rightful action to take to make sure that you are set for tomorrow. Don't worry about tomorrow. But you have to sow the seed today so that it sprouts tomorrow. Na? Don't worry whether it is going to sprout or not sprout. But you have to at least sow the seed. You see how you have to balance. So this is one of the aspects of how you have to balance Shiva and Shakti. How you have to balance that masculine and feminine energy. Similarly, you have a challenging situation. When you face a challenging situation, what are you supposed to do? Now you need to first say, shall I take a step back, look at the bigger picture and think strategically? Make sense? Now that is the Shiva aspect. That is the masculine energy coming into play, where you are saying, let me pause, let me take 2 steps back, let me do a strategic thinking. Okay, you did strategic thinking, but based on the outcome of your thinking, you have to also take courageous action. Now that courageous action is Shakti. You see? Now you cannot blindly say, yee-haw, for everything I'll take my sword and I'll go and fight. No, that is all the time being in that Shakti mode. It's not going to give you any victory. Vice versa. You cannot all the time sit in your armchair and be strategizing forever. These are the people who can play cricket from their couch. Tendulkar should have done like this. That guy should have bowled like that. They are full of strategy, but they don't have the courage to actually take action. So both of them are not right. So we need to find the right balance between taking a pause, doing strategic thinking, and doing courageous action. Another example of balancing Shiva and Shakti. And if you pay attention, all of this have been covered by Sri Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. He has explained all of this. He has explained what it means to be in the mode of samatvam. He has explained what it means to be rightful action. He has explained how to do action without getting into anxiety. You see? This is all interconnected. Just like that, in your relationships, what is the most important thing in relationships? What do you think is the most important thing in relationships? Tell me. I want to know.
Detachment.
Okay, beautiful.
Trust.
What else?
Trust.
Okay. Anything more basic?
Love.
Calmness.
Love.
Love.
Yes.
Self-love.
Yes.
Selfless
Anything?
love.
Yes.
Selfless
Deepa-
love. Selfless
Yes. Oh,
love.
that is like the ultimate, Yes.
No expectations.
All right answers, beautiful answers. These are all important.
Calmness.
And yes, Ekansh.
Calmness, Guruji. Stay calm.
See, Ekansh is very close to, Yes, Ekansh, you are very right. Because Ekansh knows what is required to, see, one of the important things in relationships, a basic level, is the ability to listen. If there are two people in a relationship and both just want to talk, the relationship is not going to go too long, too far. You should also know when to sit and listen. Correct? And you should also know when to express yourself and how to express authentically. So this sitting and listening is Shiva. Expressing is Shakti. And you need to find the right balance. You cannot always be Shiva. Otherwise, the other person will say, this guy is not really interested in what I'm saying. You cannot all the time saying, oh, hey, I'm listening, because they expect a conversation. So they expect that you listen also, but you should know when to listen, how much to listen, how to listen, and also then how to express yourself and how to express authentically. Shiva and Shakti. So I'm giving you some practical examples. And if you remember, many sessions ago, I gave you a tip. I said, before you say something, pause. I said, especially when you feel emotional, especially when you feel strongly about a particular topic, I said, pause. So what I was actually telling you has its core here in this topic, because that pause is Shiva. And what you do after that pause is Shakti. And by practicing that pause, you are bringing balance. You are bringing balance between Shiva and Shakti. That is the right way, the only way to truly succeed in all your endeavors. Make sense? I hope it is making sense. I hope it is giving you a good idea of what this whole Shiva, Shakti and Yin Yang is all about and how it applies to your day-to-day lives. I've tried. I know I have not gone too deep, but I think this much should be sufficient to get a good understanding. And then we can go into depth later. So, and in verse 35, Lord Krishna says, among the hymns in the Samaveda, know me to be the Brihat Sama. Does Samaveda sound familiar? It sounds familiar to somebody. Suchita says no.
Yes, Guruji.
What comes to mind, Ekansh?
Samaveda is the third Veda, which Krishna said, I am the Samaveda, because it is related to the music and emotions.
Excellent.
Music always helps to build.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So happy that you're recollecting all of this, and very, very happy. So Krishna already said that I am the Samaveda. That was in Shloka 22. And now he's saying within the Samaveda, I am the Brihat Sama. The Brihat Sama is a hymn. It's a very beautiful hymn in the Samaveda, because it is very highly revered and it is chanted at the end of all Vedic ceremonies. So whenever you do the Vedic ceremony the right way, it is supposed to end with the Brihat Sama. So the word itself, Brihat Sama, if you see, the Brihat means vast or great, and Sama refers to the Samaveda. So in other words, the Brihat Sama signifies the greatness, the grandeur of Samaveda, the essence of Samaveda. So a lot of scholars have, dived deep into this significance. A lot of scholars have, I tried reading up, but there were too many. A lot of scholars have their own ideas on why Krishna is identifying as Brihat Sama, but I've tried to bring up some of them and some of their views so that it gives you a more complete picture on. So Swami Mukundananda, when he is commenting on this, he says that the Brihat Sama is the most prominent and majestic hymn of the Samaveda. By declaring that he is Brihat Sama, Sri Krishna is indicating that he is the ultimate object of all devotional singing and chanting. So that is Mukundananda's beautiful take on this sloka. He's saying no matter what you sing, whatever kirtan you do, whatever bhajans you do, Krishna is trying to tell us that he is pretty much the ultimate object of all of that. That is what he means by saying I am Brihat Sama. So this is Mukundananda's interpretation. because the Brihat Sama is supposed to evoke a lot of devotional, spiritual feelings from you. That is the nature of it. And then Swami Shivananda, another great Swamiji, so he has written a book called Lord Krishna, His Leelas and Teachings. So in that book, Swami Shivananda says, the Brihat Sama is a highly elevating, sublime and powerful mantra. It has a tremendous influence on the mind. It fills the mind with sattva and it raises the jiva to the Brahman level. So that is Swami Shivananda's interpretation of Brihat Sama. And that is why he says Krishna is identifying himself with Brihat Sama. So furthermore, it is said that when you chant Brihat Sama at midnight, it's got a lot of significance, because midnight is considered to be that wheel between physical and spiritual and all of that. So, but to be very honest, you and I cannot really go and chant the Brihat Sama. It's difficult, but I can share the shloka if you are interested. I can share the hymn later on in the group, and you can feel free to play it in your house. It's a very purifying chant. So as Ekansh pointed out, when Krishna is saying I am Brihat Sama, he is also highlighting the power of music. The power of music as a means to connect with the divine. So in Kali Yuga, that is why Lord Chaitanya also said that Kirtan is a very powerful way, and he has asked us to practice Kirtan. This is another aspect of it. And then another very powerful thing, in the 35th Shloka, Krishna says, among poetic meters, I am Gayatri Mantra. So he specifically called out the Gayatri Mantra. Krishna himself is calling it out so many thousand years ago. Because Gayatri Mantra is considered to be the most powerful mantra. There are many reasons for that. It is also mentioned in the Rig Veda, which is like the oldest Veda and the most authentic scripture humanity has ever had its hands on. And that Gayatri Mantra is traditionally recited at sunrise, at noon, and also at sunset, because it kind of is symbolic. It covers the journey, just like how the sun travels throughout the hemisphere. The idea is our mind has to be illuminated all the time. So that is the symbolism of doing the Gayatri 3 times a day. Most of you must have heard the Gayatri Mantra. It's a very beautiful mantra. Om Bhurbhuvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. So there are many interpretations of that. I am giving you the 2 most popular interpretations. So the first one is, O Divine Mother, may your pure divine light illuminate all realms, physical, mental and spiritual. Please expel any darkness from our hearts and bestow upon us true knowledge. That is one interpretation. The another very popular interpretation, which is more aligned with word by word translation of the sloka, is Om, the primordial sound, the earth, the ether and the heavens. Let us meditate on the glorious light of the divine sun. May it illuminate our minds and guide our intellect. So like that, there are 4 or 5 other interpretations, but the key to keep in mind is this mantra is a prayer that seeks the divine grace to illuminate our mind and to help our soul go in the right direction. So that is why it is a very, very powerful sloka. Now, I'll tell you what is more interesting that I would like to bring out here in this aspect is, in olden days, Gayatri Mantra was kind of a rite of passage. That meant you are transitioning, that your spiritual maturity was symbolified by initiating you into Gayatri Mantra. Now, the key aspect is, this is the most important aspect. See, if you go to religion, if you go to religious people or religious institutions, like I know because I have also gone through it, they will tell you that you have to be a Brahmin to be initiated into Gayatri Mantra. This is how it has been said. In fact, I also know people who will say it's not enough if you just are a Brahmin, but you should also have that munj. You should also have that, in Tamil we call it punal, and in Hindi you call it munj and all of that. And they will say only then you are eligible for being initiated to the Gayatri Mantra. But do you know what really was the rule in ancient days? The real rule, the unadulterated, non-corrupted version, was actually the opposite. The rule was anyone who is qualified to be initiated into Gayatri Mantra, anyone who is qualified to be initiated to Gayatri Mantra, that is the main prerequisite. If you are capable of being initiated into Gayatri Mantra, then you can call yourself a Brahmin. It was actually the other way around, which got corrupted later into saying that if you are a Brahmin, only then you can do Gayatri Mantra. It was actually the other way around. If you are eligible, if you are good enough to be initiated to Gayatri Mantra, then that is what will make you a Brahmin. So in other words, it is not about birth. It is about having the right qualities. What are the right qualities? Purity, discipline, and goodness. 3 main qualities. So even Swami Vivekananda, he has written about this. He has emphasized this point in his works. And this is Vivekananda's quote. I'm quoting him. He says, the sign of a Brahmin is not birth, but the possession of certain qualities. Everyone who possesses these qualities is a Brahmin. This Vivekananda said in 1896. So in other words, the Gayatri Mantra serves as a spiritual equalizer. Because he's offering, that mantra offers the path of divine wisdom to anybody who earnestly seeks it, anybody who develops the necessary qualities. See how beautiful and how profound the actual rules were. The actual culture of Sanatana Dharma was like that. To eligible to chant Gayatri Mantra, you just have to have some virtues and you have to have some purity. For example, you have to follow dharma, dharmic life. You have to have self-discipline, pure heart, pure mind, and all of that. And the beauty is, once you have, or once you try to cultivate all of this, and once you get initiated to Gayatri Mantra, that Gayatri Mantra strengthens these virtues. So it is a positive cycle, positive loop, feedback loop that happens. And also it is not just a set of words. Do you remember during the beginning of this chapter, I told you that Sanskrit is a very special language because it has a parallel with reality. It is a model. It models reality itself. So the Gayatri Mantra is not just some words. If you recite it the right way, it will generate a particular vibration that resonates with the cosmic energies. Very, very powerful. So Swami Shivananda, he says, Gayatri Mantra is the most sacred of all Vedic mantras and it bestows pure thoughts. It is a spiritual light that dispels all darkness. It is a destroyer of all sins. See how much people have spoken about Gayatri Mantra, and that is the real beauty of Gayatri Mantra. And I will really request if you can all practice it. Actually, in the olden days, the rule was you are not supposed to say it aloud. You are supposed to say it in your mind. But these days, everybody plays it people are playing it in the cabs, they are playing it in the shops, in the malls and everything. But that's okay. But I would request you, maybe I can share that also, the right way to pronounce Gayatri Mantra, and then you can try to chant it a few times every day. Because it is supposed to really give some profound changes in your life. For one thing, it is supposed to sharpen your intellect. It is supposed to purify your heart. And it is supposed to bring mental clarity and peace. These are all very, very powerful things, correct? Okay. And then, of course, Krishna says, I am Basant Rutu, because that is the season of abundance. And in 10.36, Krishna says, yeah, this is probably something that needs explanation. He says, Dyutam Chalayatam Asmi. I am the kind of gambling that fraudulent people play. Now tell me, what does it sound like? Does it sound like suddenly Krishna has become a bad person? Like, what is this, Guruji? Till chapter 10, first part, we all thought Krishna is a nice person. Now Krishna is saying he's gambling and all of that. Like, what is going on, right? Does it sound like contradictory? Okay.
No,
Guruji.
Actually, God's energy inherently is not good or bad. It's our sanskaras, and how we use our free will. That's how we manifest it as good or bad in us.
Very beautiful. Very beautiful. So, some monistic religions, they portray God as just good. See, but then it contradicts with their view that God is supreme, God is everything. Why it contradicts? No, on one hand, you are saying God is supreme, God is everything. On the other hand, you are saying God is only good. In other words, God is not bad. Then who created bad? No, are you saying there is some power outside of God that God doesn't control? Then how can God be supreme? So it's a you can debate. It's a very deep debate that kind of brings us back to the conclusion that this concept of God is only good is flawed because it contradicts with God is the supreme and God is everything and God is omnipresent and omnipotent. So Sanatana Dharma actually has the right view because in Sanatana Dharma we have a more integrated view where we are saying God is the energy, God is anything that you can do is God only. And like Sulataji very beautifully said, at the end of the day, good, bad, and all of those things, they are manifestations. Basically, this Sanatana Dharma, the view of Sanatana Dharma about God being all encompassing, the integrated view is what is termed as Brahman. So maybe at the end of this session, we will explain that aspect a little more of what Brahman is. So the idea is God is all pervading, which includes all dualities, all contradictions, everything together. It's a very holistic view, which is important. So, as Sulataji pointed out, you cannot say that, no, for example, I'll ask you, water. What do you say? Is water good or bad? How many people think water is good? Okay. Because it gives life, it nourishes everything. Plants and trees cannot survive without water. Beautiful. How many people think water is bad? Okay. Deepaji, why is water bad?
So it can cause destruction also, na, excess of water, like floods and things like that. I mean, excess rain.
Of course, you can be drowned in water and killed. Intentionally somebody can just drown you in water and kill you also, right? But then are you not contradicting yourself? When I said, is water good? Then also you are raising your hand. When I said, is water bad? Then also you are raising your hand. But if you understand that, then you will understand that, God is good, bad, everything. You see, because then it is not about good or bad. It is about how it is being manifested, how it is being utilized. Correct? Water in itself is neither good nor bad. Just like that, God's energy is neither good nor bad. It is a manifestation. How they manifest, And that is where, all this interplay comes. Interplay of Maya, which is illusion, and Yoga Maya, which is divine illusion. And if you can understand all of that, they're all woven together beautifully to help us understand all of this in a very, holistic way. So in other words, Maya is the tool that causes this duality. Good, bad, right, wrong, dark, light. It's all Maya. And then it is creating the illusion that is reality. You see, that is the game of Maya. So basically, the energy, like we just discussed about Shakti and Shiva, right? So Shakti is neutral. Shakti is neither good nor bad. It is energy. Now, how you apply that energy, that is what determines the moral aspect, whether it is considered to be good or whether it is considered to, just like that intellect. I'm going to ask you, is intellect good or bad? You see, now this answer is more obvious, right? When you say intellect, of course it is good because using the intellect, you can heal people. Using the intellect, you can do beautiful things, build beautiful things. You can even understand God, understand that reaching God is what is important in life. All of that is intellect only. But you can also create war, you can also create bombs, you can also create... But then now, is it the fault of intellect? So can you say intellect itself is bad? No. How it was used, how it manifested is what is the problem. So that is the Sanatana Dharma view of God not either being good or bad, but God being the source of all energy. And how it is manifested. That is where the good bad comes into play. Makes sense? And also sometimes people ask me this question. They will ask me, okay, what's up, TK Guruji, but how can you define all these calamities? Like if God was good, how can he let these calamities happen? Floods are happening, earthquakes are happening. Yeah, okay, but there are many answers to that. First of all, for many people, it takes a calamity for them to, introspect. It takes a calamity for them to ask about God and question about God. I know some people who have been my acquaintances for decades, but they have never been interested in what I do, my spiritual things. They were least interested. But some calamity strikes, and suddenly they'll send me a message. They will say, maybe, I would like to understand this Bhagavad Gita, what it is. I'm like, yeah, you're welcome, but you didn't have to wait for a calamity. So that is one aspect of it, because sometimes a calamity is required. And as for Vedantic perspective, these disasters are also part of divine play, because they are also required to remind us of this whole thing we discussed: impermanence, unpredictability of life. How else will you internalize this? How else will this concept become clear? So these are all some of the positive reasons also. And because once you understand life is uncertain, then it actually makes you focus on the spiritual path. It makes you focus on prayer, service, God, and all of that, which is what is actually required. So we are to blame. Because if we will not turn to God unless there is a calamity, then God will give us a calamity. Then we cannot go back and blame God for that. And another thing is, a lot of these natural calamities, although we call them natural, they are actually caused by human actions. Human actions like deforestation, pollution. These are all what humans are doing. The tsunami that came recently, that was also because of that. Today there is a climate change, global temperature is going up, human activity. It is not that the sun suddenly decided that I'm going to give more heat to the earth. The sun is doing its job like it was doing for millions of years, but humans have now changed the whole thing. And so again, we cannot blame God. God has given us free will and we are using it in the wrong direction. So these are some of the answers. All I'm trying to say is there is no absolute good, there is no absolute bad. It is all perception. It is all the different manifestation of the same energy, and that energy is absolute. That energy is neutral. That's what we need to understand. Okay, and then a few other more interesting ones. Krishna says, Tejas Tejasvinamaham, which is beautiful. I am the brilliance of the brilliant. Jayosmi, I am the victory of the victorious. Vyavasayosmi, I am the firm resolve of people. Sattvam Sattvatham Aham, I am among those who are calm and steady. I am that Sattva. See, when Krishna says Samatvam is important, what happens is once we think we are reaching a state of Samatvam, again we get into a mode of pride. It's like, oh, see, now I'm a yogi, I'm calm, I can handle anything, But then Krishna is saying that, that even in Samatvam, I am that Sattva. Without that, you cannot be in a state of Samatvam. So he's beautifully covering all grounds. And so in other words, Krishna is giving us a very comprehensive view, holistic view. And now he says, among Pandavas, I am Arjuna. Now, what is going on here? Why is Krishna saying among Pandavas, I am Arjuna? Because Arjuna was neither the oldest, because in olden days, the older person used to get respect. Arjuna was also not the strongest. I mean, Bhima was stronger than Arjuna. And probably Arjuna was also not the wisest, because Yudhishthira was known as the Dharma Raja. So what is going on here? Then why is Krishna saying I am Arjuna? You see? Now here is another example of how the name that they use to call each other is so important. Because that name hides a lot of context. The name provides a lot of context into what they are saying. We cannot just take things literally. When you add it to the name, for example, here he's calling Arjuna as Dhananjaya. Here he's not calling Arjuna as Mahabaho. Because if it is just the strength, then Bhima is even more powerful. So in this context, Mahabaho doesn't make sense. But here he is using the word Dhananjaya and then he's saying, I am Arjuna. So then let us understand what is Krishna trying to say. What is the whole relevance? What is the context here? Because the significance of wealth and the embodiment of human excellence. See, this I am explaining to you because this is the core of Vaishnavism. At least the kind of Vaishnavism we are practicing. This is how it is fundamentally different from. So like in the past, like Ekansh also remembers this. In the past, we used to say that our path, Krishna consciousness, in Hindi we say, it is not about Chodana, but it is about Jodana. Correct? So that aspect is also being brought about by Krishna in this statement here. When he is addressing Arjuna as Dhananjaya and then he's saying, I am that. So in other words, conqueror of wealth. That is what is the meaning of Dhananjaya. So one of the aspects, Arjuna's unparalleled powers in archery, of course. Also his unwavering concentration, his adherence to dharma, they're all reflections of divine qualities. And here Krishna, by identifying with Arjuna, first he says that the divine will manifest once you strive for excellence and once you hold moral values, just like Arjuna. Very important. A lesson for all of us. Krishna doesn't say just sit on the chair and say, Krishna will take care of everything. No, that is not his message. His message is do rightful actions and strive for excellence in everything you do. He only says that leave the results to me. After you have done what you are supposed to do, that is a very important part. It is not that I will do nothing, I will just sit and say Hare Krishna and I will say, God will take care of everything. That is not at all Krishna's message. It's a very important thing to understand. So yes, strive for excellence and succeed. The first aspect. Second aspect, the bond. The bond between the divine and the devotee. Look at the relationship between Krishna and Arjuna. Because they love each other. They consider each other to be friends. But at the same time, Arjuna looks at Krishna as Guru. You see? That's the beautiful relationship. Where one does not overshadow the other. One aspect does not interfere with the other aspect. All the aspects are beautifully going together in unison, in complete harmony. You can be a friend also, you can be a teacher also, you can be a lover also. Why not? You see, that is the other aspect that Krishna is bringing about. So he's telling us that you can be loving towards me. I can be your Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam. But that shouldn't mean that I'm just a friend. Because then how are you going to internalize my teachings? Then you have to look at me as a Guru also. And I'm not just some Guru. I'm the absolute Guru. So you have to also look at me as God also. And all of these things, they are not contradicting with each other. They can coexist with each other. Just like Arjuna's relationship with Krishna. Where Arjuna looks at Krishna as friend also, as teacher also, as God also. See? Beautiful, beautiful message. And then comes the message of wealth. Where he's calling Arjuna as Dhananjaya. So Arjuna's wealth, what was his wealth? Arjuna's wealth was not just material riches, right? What was Arjuna's true wealth? It was his virtues. That is what made him the best student. Is that not the best wealth to have? That the God himself calls you as the perfect student. You are then the richest person if you can accomplish that. So the true riches of Arjuna, wisdom, spiritual attainments, and Krishna is encouraging us to seek that true wealth of self-realization and connection with the divine. So many beautiful things. And also there is a very profound theological implication where you know that Lakshmi, or she's also known as Shri, who is the goddess of wealth. You know that she's often shown as serving Krishna or serving Vishnu. And this association is suggesting that all wealth originates from the same divine. So it is not that wealth means somehow it is not godly. It's not like that, because all wealth also comes from the same God. The source is God only. So you can also understand this as saying that wealth does not have to be something separate and independent, but you have to look at it as a manifestation of the same divine. In other words, wealth can also make you more connected to the divine. Wealth does not have to always take you away from the spiritual path or away from divinity as we tend to believe. So the material success does not have to contradict with spiritual success. It can complement your spiritual success. No, that is the path of Krishna consciousness. I hope this is all making sense. So the whole idea is all about integrating the material and spiritual. So, and Krishna is saying, we should have a balanced approach where you engage in rightful action, maintain spiritual focus, be detached from the results, and consider even wealth as a divine manifestation, and you can utilize that also to strengthen your connect with the divine. So you can be successful, you can be wealthy, and you can also be spiritual. And whenever you are in doubt, how can that be possible? Just think about Raja Janak, and then you will get your answer. That is a living example, and that is possible. And Krishna is encouraging that, in fact. Okay. And then what else is Krishna talking about here? Vyasa. So Krishna says, among all the sages, I am Vyasa, and among all the poets, I am Usana. Now it's also very, very important. Just for your information, Usana is also referred to as Shukracharya. And Usana is mentioned even in the Rig Veda. So that was how elevated he was. Even Indra seems to have sought advice from Usana. Even Indra wanted to be compared with Usana or Shukracharya. That shows how great. But it's very, very important, extremely profound lesson here. So I'm going to spend a few minutes here. So there is a story of Shukracharya. You can read it later. The key aspect is Shukracharya became the guru of all the demons. And he led the demons to a war with the Devas. And although the demonic people are supposed to be inferior to the godly people, under the guidance of Shukracharya, they became so powerful that they almost became capable of overthrowing Brahma himself, or of defeating Brahma himself. They became so powerful. Okay. So what is the lesson here? Because Brahma himself has conveyed this lesson. That is the beauty. Okay. One of the lessons is, under the Guru's grace, they became so strong. So Lord Brahma, he is now telling the Devas, that by the strength of the blessings of the Guru, one can become most powerful in this world. And vice versa. By the displeasure of the Guru, you can lose everything also. This idea is very beautiful. And this idea is also expressed by the Vaishnava, saint. His name was Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura. He says, this you might have heard in some of the songs that plays in ISKCON also. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado, yasya prasadan gati kutopi. So it says, by the mercy of the Guru, one is blessed by the mercy of Krishna. Without the grace of the spiritual Guru, one cannot make any advancement. So when Krishna is acknowledging that he is Usana or Shukracharya, it has a lot of profound implications. Firstly, it is demonstrating that Krishna is aware of something that happened in the distant past, because Shukracharya is mentioned in the Rig Veda. And Krishna is talking about that I am that. So in a way, he is saying, I am timeless. I know what happened so far. Secondly, it is also talking about the importance of Guru in one's spiritual journey, because those demons were having the right bhava towards their Guru, they became powerful enough to beat even the gods. That was another thing. And this is what Krishna said earlier also, that service to the Guru, pariprasnena, you remember, pranipatena, prasnena, where he said, you have to have that right attitude, right bhava, service to Guru and all of that. That's the whole thing. I also want to bring a modern aspect to this whole story is, this also highlights the inclusivity, diversity and inclusivity aspect from Krishna, because he's talking about a Tamil poet. Because Usana was a very, very popular Tamil poet, whereas Krishna was not Tamil, right? Krishna was more from the Sanskrit side. Krishna was the north, and Usana was more of the south and the Tamil thing. So in other words, he's bringing out this whole inclusivity aspect where all-encompassing nature, and there is no discrimination, there is no we versus them, and he's identifying himself with Usana or Shukracharya. And then he says, among all punishments, I'm the rod of chastisement. Rod of chastisement basically means, is correct. When you say rod of chastisement, what it basically means is it is not just to threaten, it is meant to enforce. So when Krishna is having his eyes on you, he's going to make sure that he will enforce that the right things happen. He's not just going to threaten you. He will make you do what is right, and he will make you stop doing what is wrong. So in other words, it's his responsibility to make sure that dharma prevails. And then he's saying, I'm the generating seed of all living beings. So Arjuna, no creature moving or non-moving can exist without me. So beautiful. Again, how many of you remember the 3 types of Vishnu? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Some people. Lakshmi ji, what are the 3 types?
Garbhodaksha Vishnu, Krishi Vishnu.
Yes. Garbhodaksha Vishnu, Karanodaksha Vishnu, and Shirodaksha Vishnu. So, the Shirodaksha aspect is what Krishna is reiterating here. Because he's saying, I'm present everywhere. That is what he means by I'm the generating seed of all living beings. I'm there. And everything emanates from me and nothing can exist without me. That is his whole thing here. So if you can see from 10.20 to 10.39, I'm really grateful to the few of you who participated in that exercise, and Simran is probably gone somewhere, but so Kalpana ji also tried.
I'm here, Guruji.
Oh, you are here? Okay. So very beautiful, and I think you have come up with 80 Vibhutis, which is commendable work. So congratulations. However, I think I found 82. So I will share my version with you later, and you can probably figure out which are the 2 that seem to be extra in my version. But Krishna has described 82 of his opulences in these verses. And he says they are still just a small fraction. He's saying it is just Uddeshat. It is just for, example. So see, how much is the real set going to look like? So how did it all start? Why did it all start? Because Krishna said Ananya Chintan and all of that. And then Arjuna asked Krishna, he said, okay, Krishna, you are telling me that I should think of you all the time, but how should I think of you all the time? Help me. And then Krishna says, okay, then I'll talk about some of my great qualities and that will help you, think of me all the time. And that is how all this started, and that is where he went and spoke about all of these vibhutis. So the message is, once you have a good idea of all these vibhutis, you will be able to see God's hand in everything, because Krishna has not left anything. He has pretty much told you, I'm this, I'm that, I'm that. You look at a mountain, you should see Krishna there. You look at a tree, you should see Krishna there. Everything you should see Krishna, because that is what Krishna has done through these 82 vibhutis. We are talking about all different aspects. Even within you, when you look at the Shiva and Shakti aspects, Krishna said, I'm that also. See, that's the whole idea. So this concept is also illustrated in this, there is a Shanti mantra. Most of you may know that. Very, very beautiful, popular mantra. It says, Om Purnamadam Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnavevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Om. That is infinite. This is infinite. From that infinite, this infinite comes. From that infinite, if this infinite is removed, then that infinite still remains infinite. Om, peace, peace, peace. See? Beautiful, isn't it? So, in other words, the universe is also infinite, Krishna is also infinite, but the universe came from Krishna. So, even if this universe goes away, which it is going to go away, it will still not make a dent in Krishna. Krishna will still remain complete. See, that is how we have to look at it. So, he's so great, he's so complete, he's so full. So, after explaining only a small portion of his opulences, and then Krishna, in his famous style, he first will explain. That is what he did. He explained and he said, okay, Arjuna, here are my 82 opulences. And then he says, Arjuna, but what is the need for all this knowledge? you know, after explaining everything, he says, Arjuna, but what is the need for all of this knowledge? You simply have to know that, even using just a small fraction of me, I can still pervade this whole universe. That's all you need to know, right? So that message is for us also. That yes, all of that is good to know, but we don't have to, say that, oh, I know 81, he knows 82, so I'm better. That's not the whole point. The point is, Krishna is in everything, he pervades everything. If we get the message, I think we have understood chapter 10. That is what Krishna has tried to do, basically. So with that, we can conclude chapter 10. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Dear Satsang family, whoever has time can stay for 5 more minutes. I am going to request Anika ji to quickly explain the aspect of Brahman that we just spoke a few minutes ago.
Hare Krishna, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. So in Vedanta, Brahman refers to the Supreme, meaning vast and unlimited, and it embodies the concept of infinity. So this ultimate reality transcends the limitations of space, desha, time, kala, and object vastu, making Brahman omnipresent, eternal, and non-dual. So in context of limitations of desha or space, it's basically that physical entities are limited to one location at a certain time. But Brahman, however, is everywhere simultaneously, and this embodies omnipresence. And limitations of kala or time is that objects exist between their creation and destruction. But Brahman exists beyond these confines, always has and always will, making it ever pervading. Then limitations of vastu or object. So each object has its own unique identity. But Brahman, in contrast, is everything at once, signifying non-duality. So this non-duality means that Brahman is not different from anything in the universe. It is basically everything. Now, Advaita Vedanta encapsulates this by describing Brahman as sarvavyapi, all-pervading, nityam, eternal, and advaitam, non-dual. So this realization of Aham Brahmasmi, that I am Brahman, involves understanding that we are not separate from the Brahman. This vision aligns with Sri Krishna's concept of Samadarshana from the Bhagavad Gita, where the divine knowledge enables equal vision of all living beings. So the Upanishads encourage introspection on reality, urging a perpetual shift to see the essence of existence in everything, beyond the material limits of desha, kala, and vastu. So this understanding reveals that all existence is a manifestation of Brahman, demonstrating that the universe itself is evidence of this all-encompassing reality. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yes, beautiful. Beautiful, very concise, at the same time comprehensive. You have covered everything.
Very clear.
Very clear and crisp.
Clear.
So,
thank you for your support and this opportunity, Guruji.
Oh, you're most welcome. Thank you, Anika ji. So, in one word, we said Priyodakshe Vishnu, but then what does that mean? That whole meaning is what Anika ji has covered. When Krishna says, I'm in every atom, that basically means he's not limited by space or time, or vastu. identity. So that is the idea of Brahman, and that is what Krishna is trying to explain, saying that I am not some distant entity that you have to come and search for. I'm already there. I'm everywhere. You just have to realize. So Krishna says the task that you have is not to find me. The task that you have is to let me make myself known to me. I'm there. I'm inside you. I'm around you. And your task is to somehow let me open your eyes so that you can see. That is Krishna's message. And that is what we all need to understand. So with that, I will conclude this chapter. So big round of applause to Anika and big round of applause to all our satsang members to staying with us continuously and completing yet another chapter. The next chapter is also very beautiful, where you will talk about the Vishwarupa Darshanam of Bhagavan Krishna. So stay on with us, and next session we will do the revision. Thank you so much. So did you have anything to add, anything to say? I know we took a little longer because I really wanted to complete this chapter in this session and not keep something remaining. So if you had any questions, comments, please, you can use this time. Or
Guruji, the beginning, end, and mid are considered as three separate opulences?
No, you can put them as one.
One, okay. Take.
Yes. Yes, I'll share what I found. It's possible that I probably have some duplicates also. So I'll share that, and you can compare and see.
Yes.
Where the gap is.
Yeah.
So, okay. Okay, then it looks like we had information overload for today. So,
I have a small question, Guruji.
Yes. No question is small. Go ahead.
Guruji, you told that we can chant a Gayatri mantra. As we chant Om Namo Narayanaya, when I chant it in my mind, मैं पूरी उसकी tuning नहीं follow कर पाता. It's like Om Namo Narayanaya. It's like I chant it fast. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Narayanaya. Somebody told me that if you will chant like this, or if you will chant like this, it will give you bad effects. I think the name will never give bad effects. What do you say?
Correct. So, chanting the name of God can never give you any bad effects, but the only thing people say is don't commit offenses. In other words, don't chant it with a negative, like chant it with a positive mindset. That's all. So yeah, you're fine. Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya is fine. But chant it with focus, chant it with bhava, the tune will automatically come. But what happens is sometimes some schools or some teachers, they emphasize on the number. They will say you have to chant so many rounds. So what happens is people feel pressurized. They feel that, I have to somehow complete this number, and the focus becomes the number. Then the focus is not in the bhava. That is where this kind of chanting comes. Like even Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, you can go to some temples and you will see people chanting, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. It's like a machine gun chanting, we call it. So they will meet the numbers, but according to Krishna, you can just say Om also, and you can feel his presence. So the bhava is more important. So what I'm trying to tell you, the long answer to a short question is, if you can focus on the bhava, that you are in that bhava of surrender and love, the tune will automatically come. And whatever tune comes, accept it. Yeah.
Because when we chant, it feels like you are chanting it wrong. Don't chant it wrong. Somebody told me that if you say Om if you don't say in a certain volume or something, it will give you really bad effects. I was like, how come it is possible? Like Sadhguruji, you might have heard about Sadhguruji, right?
Yeah.
Somebody told me that he said that if you don't chant Om like Om, then it will give you bad effect. I was like, really?
Yeah.
I was not pretty sure. Like, it was so much over information. I said, I don't know. Might be.
See, people like Sadhguru, they are very elevated souls. Of course, they know a lot more than me. So I'm not going to contradict him publicly, at least. But what I would rather say is, I want to focus more on what Krishna has said. because that is what I know more. And Krishna has not really emphasized on the mechanism. He's emphasized more on the bhava. So
Even in this chapter, that's the Mauna. What is this? We had that, no? So even if it's a silence, no, God is there.
yeah, because Krishna said, "I'm silence." Na?
This chapter.
Krishna
This
himself
chapter.
said that I'm of secrets, I'm silent. Not just that,
Mauna,
you have to
Mauna.
remember the example of whenever you are in doubt, remember the example of Valmiki.
Correct. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, because Valmiki could not even say Rama. What he was saying was a negative word. Mara. Mara means death. Dead. Something is Mara. But even by saying that, he got enlightenment because he was not focusing on the mechanism, he was focusing on the bhava. So I hope that makes sense. Hare Krishna, thank you for that question.
It also goes with the same what you just shared, Guruji, na? That there is nothing good nor bad, no darkness, no light. It's again going with no right or wrong. It's again the bhava.
Correct. The bhava is important, but at the same time, there is rightful action too. That what we need to do, like that is definitely there. All we are saying is God is not just good or God is not just bad. God is energy, and it is us who brings out the good or bad aspects of it. We manifest it. That's what I was actually trying to say. So yes, focus on bhava, and everything else will fall in line. Be it, yeah, I hope that makes sense. Okay, I think I've taken too much of your time, and I'm really grateful and thankful that you all stayed with me. So thank you. Hare Krishna, and see you all in the revision next session.
Hare Krishna, Guruji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.